Still trying to get that intro fixed there. Adam, Rex Stevens, host of here, Living the Run, in studio with former MLB catcher and current scout for the Chicago Cubs, Adam Melhuse. We're trying to get that thing fixed. I thought for sure it was there today.
No problem.
But yeah, still working on the issues there. Hey, also in studio, Alex, thanks for helping us out. Producer Alex in for Max Woodcock not feeling so good. The stuff is in the air, Adam. It's just one of those years. You know, I go into my kids' classroom each and every week, and it just seems like there's more kids down, a few coming back, and it has just been one of those rough years to live the run, no question about it. Health and fitness at a primo, I think, for most, because when you get down, you really get that sense you just can't do what you want to do, and the reality is it's a bummer. You know, it's a bummer for most of us, and we want to be able to get out there and live the run here in SLO County.
Well, it's never fun to be flat on your back, you know, and I mean, maybe for a little while, but prolonged sickness is never fun. I know my dad had it. I had a little bit of a cold for a day or so. The kids, a little bit of a snot, and I'm going to knock on wood here that they don't get it, but know plenty of people who did get it and were flat on their back.
Hey, yeah, no question. And especially when we're coming in, this is a classic time for Living the Run listeners here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket is they're looking at these upcoming races, these upcoming events to get into. And nothing like being a little discouraged by being down, seeming like you're not on track for that half marathon, that 5K you're going to do for the first time. And, of course, we're thinking about Slow Marathon. You can go to slowmarathon.com. 59 days, 11 hours, and 53 minutes, the website says right now. But that's the April 9th is that the half marathon and marathon. And, again, it's going to be a great weekend. We got Dean Karnazes going to be running that race. Again, if you haven't read Dean's books, phenomenal books, Ultra Marathon Man, Confessions of a Nighttime Runner, the 50-50-50, just very, very, very inspiring stuff. So, hey, look, if you've been down, no worries. A lot of us have been down. There's still plenty of time to gear up for these races. I know there's a few other races that we're going to talk about going on into the year, too. A lot of stuff to participate in this area. It's one of the great things about this area moving forward for health and fitness. Yeah,
I mean, we're only in February, so, I mean, we're 2 months into the new year, so, you know, a bad week or a sick week, whatever, don't let that ruin the rest of the year. Yeah,
no question. You know, I'm stoked about tonight's show. You know, we got Rich Seubert coming in, played O-line for the Giants for about 10 years. Neat guy. Be interesting to get his take on what just transpired in the Super Bowl. He played in the Super Bowl. He was in, you know, to me, one of the most epic Super Bowls in the history of the Super Bowl. You know, you had the New England Patriots going in undefeated, and there he sits on the New York Giants, and they take him. And this is one of those things from a mental perspective, and we talk about that a lot on this show, is how you're approaching sport. Interesting to ask them how they approached that game, how they thought they had played earlier in the year. In fact, I think it was the last game of the regular season, and they had beat them, or they had lost to them, and then they came in and beat them in the playoffs. Talk a little injury with him. Talk similar stuff to you. You know, what do you do now? You're 1 year, 2 years out of pro sports. How are you approaching health and fitness? How are you approaching the goals that you're trying to take on? And I'm excited about having Rich here on the show.
Yeah, I want to hear a little bit about everything that you just mentioned. You know, what they did to prepare for the Super Bowl. You know, you've got an extra little bit of time there, and I was talking to a friend of mine watching the Super Bowl at his place, and former tight end, played a little bit with the Niners, and so I had some of those questions answered by him, and as far as prepping for the big game and stuff like that. But that'll be interesting, and looking forward to bringing him in.
Yeah, no question. You know, he's out there right now talking to CJ Silas. CJ Silas on next. And remember, she's got Stan Kasten, LA Dodgers CEO. Always interesting to hear about how those guys are going to spend money. And, you know, one of the great things in what we're talking about here is that I think so many times people think a lot of this stuff costs a ton of money to get involved in. And the reality is it doesn't. You know, you don't have to get fitted on a $7,000 bike out there. You don't have to have all the latest and best equipment just to get into some a semblance of a fitness routine. And I think it's often one of those misnomers that we have in our head that if you don't have all the equipment, you can't get fit. You know, if you don't have all the equipment, you're going to get hurt. If you don't have all the equipment, and then it just goes on and on and on with some negative spin to not get fit. The reality is you don't need much. A lot of times you just need a pair of shoes and a mountain to hike, and it's a very, very nice thing, and hopefully something we can encourage people to continue to get rolling on and not feel those limitations in, if you will.
Definitely, and I mean, perfect example today. Over at CrossFit Inferno was a 400-meter run. Actually, 5 of them. In under 3 minutes, and you had a little break, about a minute and a half rest or so, and then it was some muscle ups, which you can do just on a pull-up bar, and then skipping rope, and that was the workout. So it doesn't need to be fancy, and I'm about ready for bedtime right now. After
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, these it's amazing what you can get done in a short period of time with not much stuff. And that's the other thing, we've tried to talk about that as well, is so many people feel like, hey, if I'm not out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, or what can I do in 30 minutes? What can I get done in 20 minutes? And we've really run with that phrase, you got to get your blood to boil every day. And that's such a great phrase. I mean, think about that. Get your blood to boil. It means get blood moving. Get the temperature rising, get the sweat glands to release, get a little perspiration, get a little need for some extra water, feel that heart pounding in your chest a little bit. And if those things aren't happening, you probably haven't moved enough. I mean, did you see that latest deal? They just came out and they just talked about this the other day. The FDA even talked, or the CDC even talked about it, that they now believe, this is a stunning stuff, Adam, they now believe that if over 20 years of time goes by and you spend 4 hours or more sitting a day for 20 plus years, you will decrease, or you can put it this way, you can accelerate your rate of morbidity. That is, you will die early, and you will die early from disease that you shouldn't be inflicted with faster than if you smoked for 20 years or more.
Wow.
This is huge.
That's crazy.
This is massive stuff. I mean, this is to say, guys, we must be paying attention to this. And it's not just, hey, not that big a deal. Yeah, sure, I got a little back pain. Sure, my energy's not that good. No, the real idea is systems are shutting down early as a result of a sedentary lifestyle. This is big stuff. And when we start to compare it to smoking, which everyone, hands down, would go, of course smoking's no good. Obviously, it's going to accelerate my heart disease. It's going to accelerate my risk for cancer. It's going to accelerate my skin deterioration. But sitting, sedentary, is the same thing. Unreal.
That's crazy. I obviously would have never have guessed that, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. It's dizzying the amount of information that's out there. It seems like for every point there's a counterpoint, and it's actually, the word for me is frustrating to try and figure out which is which. I mean, here, you talk about the sitting, and I think just a day or so ago I read an article where this person said, actually today kids are just as active as they were back then, but the fact of the sugar and all the refined foods, that kind of stuff has played into the obesity. So it's not the fact that they're not moving around and playing and doing all this stuff. The kids are same activity levels as, in the past. It's just the sugar, basically. We become a sugar society.
Yeah, they're not eating any of this stuff that I just opened up. As always, we're fortunate to have Virginia on the line. Virginia of VertFoods. Virginia, some exciting stuff going on in your business. I know we've been off for a week or so, but excited to have you back. Thanks for coming on the show. Where is Miss Virginia? She's got to be here somewhere. Technical difficulties with Virginia. Anyway, we're looking at, as Adam talks about that, and he says, hey, it seems like sugar's a big issue. One of the things Virginia's done for us is she continues to show raw food combinations and food combinations that kids will eat. When we put this stuff in front of my kids, I know she's got 2 kids similar ages. Kids will actually eat this stuff. And it's always been a kind of a knock from parents as parents say, God, my kid won't eat vegetables. My kid won't eat fruits. My kids won't la-da-da-da. And they just go on and on and on. But the reality is that this kind of stuff that we see in the bowl right now, kids eat this stuff and they eat it up. It's big time. Do we have Virginia? Where is she?
We had her, we lost her. We're trying to get her back.
Yeah, we had her and lost her. Hey, no big deal. This
Here today,
happens.
gone tomorrow.
Yeah, but let me tell you who is in studio. Rich did join us. We're gonna have to kind of shuffle around. Alex, maybe let's take a break. Let's see if we can get Virginia back. Coming back on the flip side, but Rich Seubert, O-lineman, New York Giants. But really, your title is going to be all about mission prep, right? We're coming for, forget the New York Giants. It's a mission prep coach. But let's take a break here real quick. Let's come back with Rich Seubert at New York Giants here on Living the Run here, ESPN 1280, The Ticket.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280, The Ticket.
Folks, when it comes to the health of my teeth, I will not compromise, and neither should you. It's time you go where my wife and I go. Go see Dr. Ryan Ross. I get it. Not everyone loves a dentist, and heck, even a few of you out there are scared to death of these offices. Bad past experiences? Well, you ever had a bad haircut? How about a bad meal somewhere? You didn't stop getting your haircut, and you certainly didn't stop eating, so stop ignoring your teeth. Dr. Ross's gentle approach, calming demeanor, and office full of upbeat staff put your dental fears to rest. Conveniently located in a great little house on Marsh Street downtown, Dr. Ross's office exudes the highest level of professionalism, mixed with an atmosphere much like your own home. Look, nobody's in a rush here. It's not a get 'em in, get 'em out atmosphere. Every time I'm in Dr. Ross's office, it's like I'm the only guy that matters. No distractions, just full focus on my oral health. If you're interested in the highest quality in dental care and want to walk out of the office every time with a smile, call Dr. Ryan Ross today, 541-5800.
We're back with Living the Run.
Hey, welcome back to Living the Run here on ESPN 1280, The Ticket. Remember, you can always follow us on livingtherun.com, Facebook/Living the Run. You can always get these podcasts going forward on that next day. Hey, lucky to be joined. Local guy now from Midwest to East Coast. Super Bowl champ, offensive lineman, Rich Seubert. Rich, thanks for coming in with us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be living in California. The weather's beautiful. You can get outside. You can run. You can ride your bike and all that good stuff. But,
yeah, well, how much running are you doing? I mean, this is a big conversation. You know, Adam and I talk about Adam. You know, he retired from the big leagues a couple years ago. What does your mind do when you're used to getting ready for training camp? You're getting used for just getting ready to play each and every week, getting used to every season, realizing there's always somebody coming in trying to steal your spot, somebody that's trying to get hungry, trying to compete. Now that's not there anymore. What drives you to try to stay fit? What are the things that go through your head? And what's the adjustments you've had to make since moving out from the East Coast?
It's only been a year, so I kind of been taking it easy. I'm not going to lie. I haven't run in about 2 years. I blew my knee out the last game of the season, so me and running don't get along. But I try to work out. You got to stay fit. I know I need to for my health, and I will. Coaching football gets me over the edge of not playing anymore. You still got the competitive nature of trying to find a way to win games, and I really enjoyed that at Mission Prep, coaching the O-line over there. It's been fun, and I enjoy doing it. So for me, it was just something to fill that void of not playing anymore. It's football and coaching our kids and everything they do.
Yeah, I mean, any questions for you about putting a stop to it at the NFL when you did? I mean, was it one of those things you get that second big injury and you just say, that was it, my time is done, and you start to appreciate the time that you had and you don't start to second guess it? Was there some second guessing going on in your head, and who do you consult with during that time as you're deciding to wrap it up?
No, I think, my wife and I, we talked about what we were going to do when I was done playing football, and moving out here was probably on top of our list the last 3-4 years. But the way I left, blowing my knee out, it kind of was a moot point. It wasn't that I got kicked out because I wasn't good anymore. It's just I couldn't properly function to play. There's no regrets. I got the Super Bowl ring, which I think winning that game, I heard you guys talking about it earlier, Super Bowl champion. It's fun to say. It's fun to wear the ring once in a while. Everybody just watch the Super Bowl, and it's something that I will never forget. My family will never forget. My son Hunter was 4 years old. My little guy Isaac was 1. You know, they're not going to remember the game, but we have pictures of them being there. So for me, that's special. You know, me, it's all about family, and we're enjoying life out here.
Yeah, talk about the mental approach to that game. You know, we kind of talk about a lot on this show because we have so many people doing different things. You know, if you follow back on our show a little bit, you got guys running 133 miles through Death Valley in July. You know, we got this team that just did the most amount of flights of stairs in a 24-hour period ever. We had the fastest girl ever to rollerblade across the country. People trying to get mentally prepared for stuff. When you guys went into that game, you know, you'd played New England earlier in the year. Of course, there's all the talk about them being undefeated and so forth. But what was the mental approach? Was there anything different? Was there for you guys, or was it just same business as usual? Make the blocks, make the plays, don't make mistakes, and we should win.
Yeah, you know, New England, we played in the last game of the season, and we gave them a run for their money. I forget what the score was, but it was back and forth. It was a pretty high-scoring game. That game gave us confidence. Everybody said we had nothing to play for. We were already in the playoffs. They were already in the playoffs. They were playing for the undefeated season. But I think us deep down the side, by us hanging in there and playing tough, we had some guys not playing because of injuries that game. We knew we had a chance. We just need to find a way to get there, and we all wanted to play the Patriots again that year. Call us crazy, but us in that locker room, as long as you believe about it in your locker room, who cares about what everybody else thinks? Who cares about what Vegas thinks or you know, every other reporter and ESPN guy or picking games. I don't think anybody picked the Giants, but Coach Coughlin, you know, he gave us, you know, he put the thoughts in our mind that we could get it done, and we found a way to do it. You know, David Tyree made that catch, and then Plexico's touchdown at the end. It doesn't matter how you win; it's matter what the scores at the end of the game, and it ended up, you know, we were in the lead.
Yeah, no question. Hey, we're going to try to get Virginia on the line. We always have a segment every week, Rich, where we talk a little food, which is kind of an interesting topic. You know, the reality is that food has changed quite a bit in this country, and we should have Virginia on the line here. Hey, Virginia, are you there?
Hi, I am here.
Hey, sorry about the mix-ups. It is what it is. It's radio.
But it wasn't 3 strikes you're out, which is what I was worrying about. Oh, Dave.
What's that?
Wasn't 3 strikes and I'm out.
Hey, 3 strikes and you're out. We're talking football here. I don't think they got strikes in football, but you know, here we got food in front of us right now. Talk to us a little bit about what you wanted to say, and talk to us a little bit about updates on VertFoods right now.
Yeah. So first, the food, a little different than what I have been bringing in. This is a salad-based item. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the vitamins that we are trying to beef up on during these flu/cold seasons. The vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and C, very prevalent in those cabbage and the Brussels sprouts and the beets in front of you, are what we call fat-soluble vitamins. And recently I have had some interesting sessions with people. I do some nourishment therapy and otherwise, and fat is a huge point of fear in our society right now. You mentioned the word fat, and people kind of close down and they freak out. So I want to make something very clear, just like a car.
Hold on, let me ask Rich something here real quick. Is it a fear in the NFL when they use the term fat?
We say big boned.
Big boned, yeah. And I imagine you guys would get after a few fatty foods.
Exactly.
Before games, we do. Like the night before the game, we get the fatty foods. We talked about this. You know, we kind of load up on all the bad stuff to make you play, have more energy on Sundays.
That's essential. You can't drive your car without oil in your engine. You can have gas in your car and it gives you the fuel to go, but if you don't have oil, your engine burns up, shuts down, nothing functions properly.
Well, all those guys big boned or whatever, those guys are moving quick. I mean, these guys are big. I don't know if anyone's ever really paid attention to the linemen, but you take a look sometimes, these guys are fast. That's what's scary to me. These linemen aren't just your big old, sit there, but you got to move and you got to be agile. From what little I know about football, I mean, it seems like to me that position has changed a little bit, where it's not, hey, the biggest guy is the best guy. Not by any means. You got to be quick on your feet.
Well, Rich, was your plate ever looking like this before? I mean, is this the kind of stuff you guys need in Virginia?
And it tastes good. And it looks good. I could eat this as like an appetizer.
Yeah, as an appetizer. Yeah, exactly. All right, Virginia, go on. Antioxidants, fats. Tell us about the good stuff.
The point is the fat on you is not representational of the fat you eat in a certain sense. So fats that are in that salad, the coconut oils, the pancetta, the animal-based fats that are rendered in there are actually going to help your body absorb the vitamins and move faster and function faster. So this is a big myth, and I want to make sure that when people are during these winter months are trying to beef up on their vitamin C and all those vitamins, you must consume them with fat. Eat some nuts, eat some avocados, make a soup and put some coconut oil in it with or beef. Take a beef bone, throw it in there, then put your vitamin C through your citrus. You cannot absorb those vitamins if you have no fat at the same time. So it's this has been one of the fun things I've been doing recently with VertFoods. We have now launched this week. It's a big deal. We have a kitchen. We now have a kitchen here in SLO. So we will be serving making food available for people weekly over at the SLO Grange on Broad Street. Our mission is going to be to educate, to nourish, and to bring joy back into eating, primarily to nix some of these fears and let people know that coconut oil is good for you. Canola oil, not so good for you. Actually, very bad for you. So it's to get you eating more salads in an appropriate way and hopefully learning to find some joy back in your eating.
Hey, we always enjoy you on Living the Run, and we always learn something, and we always feel well nourished and joyful after eating foods from VertFoods. So thanks so much for joining us, and hey, congrats on the kitchen, and look forward more to hearing from VertFoods next week.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, thanks, Virginia. So you talk about eating big meals the night before. What's that look like? What's that look like for the O-lineman? We always hear, for us guys, that are listening, out there, and you read and you go, the O-lineman went and did this together. Is that true? Are the O-linemen hanging out together the night before the games? And what does that mean? Does that mean everybody else is somewhere else?
The way the Giants did it, so we had meetings and we had the midnight snack. It wasn't at midnight, but it was about 9 o'clock at night. And the O-line, yes, sat on a table together, and usually it was the quarterback, so Eli was usually with us, and we ate. Some guys took their food to their rooms, and who knows what they took to their rooms, but the Giants offered us cheeseburgers, chicken wings, some kind of rice, maybe some enchiladas, fruit, some healthy stuff, cookies, ice cream, macaroni and cheese. It's like all your favorites, right, the night before a game. And you didn't like stuff yourself, but you had a pretty good plate full. You want to make sure, because I know for me, you played at 1 o'clock out east, and you wake up at 8 o'clock and you try to eat breakfast before you go to the game. And me on game days, I didn't eat much. You get the nerves going, you got the pregame jitters, and you don't really want to eat much. You want to try to get it the night before, so you think you're all right for the game.
What was your progression? You came in the league because you were smaller, weren't you? When you came out of college.
Yeah.
Yeah, came in. You're playing tight end quite a bit.
I played in college. I was a tight end. And I went to tackle. When I went to the Giants, I was kind of a tackle / guard. Just trying to make the team. But my second year was a guard, so I was about 300 pounds, which is pretty light, in the NFL standard, 6'3", 300 pounds. So the coaches want to obviously put some weight on me, and I said, fine if it's good weight, but I know my body, like everybody else knows their body. Once I hit about 315, your back starts to hurt, your knees start to hurt.
Get slower.
You get a little slower, and my advantage was we were talking about was I was always, which I hope, obviously, because I played like the faster guard. I could pull, I could get in space, I could run a little bit better than some, but I also wasn't 330 pounds like some guys, so I had to. But once I hit 315, I was like, I need to lose 5 pounds. Like I didn't feel good.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's such a good point, Adam. We've talked about that a little bit on the show. Is that from a health and fitness perspective, we got to get away from the textbook norms. There's always these textbook norms. Well, if you're 5'10", you got to weigh this, and if you're this, you got to weigh that. And the reality is, a lot of people don't feel good at the textbook. And so you get in there and you say, well, shoot, when I'm 185, I don't like that. But when I'm 195, I feel stronger. Or when I'm 175, I feel faster. Would you see that in the big league? Same type of thing? I mean, was there the pressure to hit certain weights? Or they're saying, hey, look, Adam, we like to beef you up a little bit of catcher, or like to see this from you, that from you? Or could you tell that 5 pounds, that 10 pounds would really make or break your performance?
I noticed it more myself. I noticed the 1 year with the Dodgers, I think in 2000, I went to camp at not 315, but 215, 100 pounds less. But and I felt the same thing. I felt slow. I felt, my back. I didn't feel like I was very agile back there. But my whole goal going into spring training was, spring training was a month and a half, and then at the end out in Arizona, with it being hot, I knew I was going to shed 5, maybe 10 pounds because it was hard for me to keep weight on. So I kind of overshot the mark, knowing that, hey, if I played right around 205, knew that at the end of the 6-month season, I was going to be about 190, 195. So long as mentally I was above 190, I felt all right. If I got on the scale and all of a sudden it dipped to 189, being room service, come on up with, a club sandwich or something. I mean, it was so mental that, I felt like, I'm 189. I can't, and it's a pound or 2 pounds, 3 pounds, but it's very mental. So I knew where I was and what my body was capable of. And, 215 too much, if 205 was about my prime, my optimum weight.
Hey, you're listening to Living the Run here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. We got Rich Seubert, offensive lineman from the New York Giants, retired, in studio. Rich, talk to us a little bit about sport in general. One of the things that we're trying to do on this show is get just people out and active doing something. And I know one of the things you said to me, when I first met you is that sport meant a lot to you as a kid. Just being able to get out and do stuff. Talk about that perspective. Not just, I think everybody just thinks, oh yeah, my kid wants to become an NFL football player, or my kid wants to become a Major League Baseball player, but more from the perspective of just how it just relaxed you, how you just kind of enjoyed life, enjoyed days a little bit more, and how important just being out there moving around was for you.
Yeah, I was lucky. My parents always allowed me to try anything I wanted to try, from baseball to basketball to football to water skiing to cross-country skiing to, whatever. And I am the father that my kids, whatever they want to do, I will let them try. Because I think athletics, sport, that's where you make your friends. That's where you find out who you are. It gives you self-confidence, just to get you outside. And I'm not going to lie, once living in New Jersey, I think the TV and the video games run a heck of a lot more than they are now living in California, where the kids come home from school and it's, 72 degrees. And you're outside playing ball, playing catch, playing basketball. To me, it meant a lot. When I was a kid, yes, I wanted to play in the NFL. I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to play basketball. But realistically, I got lucky. The breaks happened my way.
Well, what do you mean by that? The breaks happen your way. I mean, obviously you're busting your butt. You, like Adam, just kind of very interesting. Adam's playing college baseball in a different position that he ends up playing in the major leagues. You're playing a lot in college in a different position than you end up playing. Some in the pros, transition from tight end over. It's not all luck. I mean, that's you being able to be versatile, you being coachable, you being listenable. What do you mean by some of the breaks?
Well, just for me, it was going to Western Illinois for one. My high school coach, knew one of the coaches down there, got me a chance to go play at Western Illinois, which for me it was either Western Illinois or probably a Division III school in Wisconsin, which I would have had fun. I would have played, and who knows what would have happened. But I was happy to go to Western Illinois. We had a good team for 4 years, and then coming out of Western, I was an undrafted free agent, so. We had 2 guys get drafted from our school that year, which at least brought the scouts into the school. And I always hopped in. I did the running. I did the lifting. I did all the tests. And I just opened up somebody's eyes, The draft came about. 32 teams passed to me 7 times in a row. The Giants called me up and said they want to bring me in for a tryout or whatnot. And, obviously I said yes. And but like you said, when I went to the Giants, I didn't care about, where I was or who I was going against. I was just going to give everything I had. And if I made it, great. And if not, at least I didn't have nothing else to look back towards. And I don't know if you ever felt that experience, but every year they bring in 50 guys. 10 of those guys are trying to play your spot. Every year they try to replace you. And being an undrafted free agent, every year you were the guy they got to replace. But for some reason, you just kept on sticking and playing and having fun. So, so I got lucky. I worked hard to get lucky, but it was fun. And back to the whole thing about if you don't try it, I hate in today's world, I can say hate, right?
You can say
that
hate.
These kids want to concentrate on one sport.
Yeah.
I want to play baseball year-round. I want to play basketball year-round. I want to play football year-round. If I would have done that, I probably would have picked basketball. And who knows what I'd be doing now?
Yeah.
Living in central Wisconsin, freezing.
Seems like one of the greatest blunders, and that would have been a huge blunder. Who wants to be in central Wisconsin freezing in February when you could be in slow on the Central Coast? Hey, let's come back. We'll talk more about that. I want to talk about a little bit about Mission Prep football. Your take on football. Football's another one that just gets lambasted, Rich, as far as when should kids play? Should kids be allowed to play? You've got some interesting comments on that, I know, talking about technique and fundamentals, doing things correctly. And if we just do it right, we shouldn't have any worries. So more with Rich Seubert coming back on Living the Run in moments.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
We're back with Living the Run.
Hey, welcome back to Living the Run here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. Hey, follow us on livingtherun.com or Facebook/Living the Run. Hey, Rich Seubert, offensive lineman for the New York Giants, Super Bowl champion. Was that 2009?
No, 8. 2008 was the game. 2007 season.
2008, 2007 season. Yeah, let's get it right. Hey, we're talking concussions during the break there. I'm more concerned not so much about concussions, but more about talk on how do we get kids to be able to get into football and participate in a way that's safe, but at the same time is fundamentally brilliant for their skills and for their love of the game and for the joy of the game.
I think it's educate the coaches, do it properly. It's not a good situation. We talk about heads in sports and concussions, and football obviously is top of the list, but you have soccer and basketball and every other sport. Baseball, you can get hit in the head. I remember in high school, I stood in the home plate, home head first, which you're not supposed to do. I got knocked out. So it could happen in any sport. Football, yes, takes a lot of the brunt. I have 2 sons, and if they want to play football, I'll let them play football. I played it, and I turned out all right. So,
yeah, it's not so much something to fear, but when you say coaches have to kind of start to get it right, where are coaches missing the boat? I mean, where can coaches learn? Or how about this? What was different for you in the way that they were coaching, say, at the New York Giants level versus at the college level versus at the high school level and down?
And I think every level that I played at, I think the first meeting we always had was the coaches telling us, our most important thing that we have to protect is our head and our neck. All right, keep your head up, see what you hit. It's easy to say, but I don't know what age you allow kids to put on helmets and put on shoulder pads and go out there and start hitting each other. It's fun to watch, right? You got the kindergartners out there running around playing tackle football, but those helmets probably weigh more than their whole body does. How are they going to keep their head up? But it's a touchy situation. My son bugs me to play football for 3 years now. My older son, he's 8 years old, and I told him when the time comes, he'll play. I started playing in 6th grade, so I played 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then high school. A lot of guys that I played with in our locker room, most of them you ask, they started in 6th grade. I was just talking to my old line coach's son the other day. He started as a freshman, and he just signed his letter of intent to Townsend out east. So, he only played 4 years in high school, and he's going to play in college. So I think parents need to learn and teach their children how to play football the proper way, just like they teach their children how to do their math or their spelling or their reading or anything else in life, which parents got to take an onus and help out the cause.
Yeah, no question. You made an interesting point before we went to break last time. Is this diversity in sport? It's one of the things we've talked about on Living the Run here. Is having it's often dubbed under the cross training type thing. Do multiple things. Don't just run. Don't just ride. Don't just swim. Don't just get repetitive in a sport. But the same thing has to go for our kids. And gosh, even from I'm thinking just from a mental perspective, I remember playing, and we played something different every 3 months, and you were involved in something different. And physically, it proves to be wonderful. But mentally, this is like huge to not just do the same thing every day, starting at age 7 or age 6 or, whatever they're doing now. Seems crazy.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't go to the gym and do the same 5 exercises every single day for, say, 4 years, right? Say you're 4 years of high school. I couldn't do it. I need diversity. I need to change it up. I think it's crazy. I think sports can help you play in other sports. Running up and down the basketball court can help you in football, or lifting weights for football can help you in any other sport. You only get 4 years of high school once, and you only get your childhood once. You might as well make the most of it and find out what you truly, enjoy.
Truly, yeah, no question about it. Hey, talk a little bit about, when you end the seasons, you end your NFL season, how much time really is there at the end of the season and then before you're back at it, hitting it pretty hard again, thinking about getting ready for that next camp, getting ready for that next kind of grueling year?
Well, now they have more time off with the new CBA, but back when I was playing, not 2 years ago, we always started up, I'm going to say the third week of March. So whenever our last season would it be, if we played until February before we weren't in the playoffs, that third week of March we usually came back in and started our off-season program. And once the season's over, you kind of want to get away from it. I know we always try to go somewhere and get away from New Jersey. And we'd go back to Wisconsin. We'd come out here to see my good friend Chris Bloor. Is the reason why we started coming out here, visiting San Luis. And just get away from the game. Even when I was playing, if we weren't in the playoffs, it was hard to turn on the TV and watch the games on TV. The teams you played, the teams you beat, maybe the teams that beat you. You just wanted to clear your mind. And I think for me, it took like a month, and then I said, okay, I better go start working out, better go start doing something before these voluntarily mandatory off-season workouts started. Whatever you want. You guys have those in baseball?
Voluntary, mandatory. I love that.
Voluntarily.
No, they show up usually right around Valentine's Day, be ready to go. If you were a guy trying to make the squad, you better have both feet on the ground running. Now, we're not even talking about winter ball, which is a league in Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela. So if you're that guy that's trying to make the roster, you go ahead and go play and get another 150 at bats. You're playing almost year round. So you got the end of the season, end of September, and if you go into playoffs, you're in October, and then you might get a few weeks off and then go to your winter ball team. And right now, I think it's the Caribbean World Series where you have the champion from Mexico, the champion from Puerto Rico, Dominican, and Venezuela, all 4 teams. And those 4 teams are battling it out to see who's the Caribbean champion. And then they might get a week or 2 off and roll right into spring training. So, yeah, you go back to, being, specializing in just one sport. I'm a fan of playing them all because that's what I did. I golfed, I played hoop and baseball. I played a year of Pop Warner football, and I don't think I was very good. My dad said, hey, you want to play next year? And I said, yeah, I think I will. And he said, no, that's good enough for me. You're not chomping at the bit to play. You're not playing. So that was the end of my football career. But it's interesting, though, because if let's just take baseball because I know that better than the other sports. If you're a kid in high school trying to make it on the varsity team, and you've got another kid that's year round, and you're playing all the sports. Now, we're taking just your average athlete. Obviously the elite athletes can play all the sports, and they're going to have a starting spot on no matter what. But I wonder. You got some of these kids that are like, okay, I'm okay at baseball, I'm okay at football, and basketball I like, but I'm kind of the 6th or 7th man. I get to play. So why don't I focus on baseball, and maybe that way I can then jump ahead of the other guy, because, and I think parents encourage it because it's like, well, hey, if Johnny wants to play baseball year round and I'm paying, for private instruction for showcase camps that they have now, and if my $5,000, $10,000, whatever the number is that they shell out, turns back a $40,000 scholarship, money well spent, so then it was a great idea. But I think, like I said, I'm on the side of let's play them all. But it just seems kind of like there's a compelling argument or a discussion on the other side to say, hey, if that turns into a scholarship, obviously talking about professional, you're talking about the 1%ers of the population that actually get to the major leagues or the NFL or whatever. So, hey, we're not going to shoot for the moon, but let's just, shoot for the stars here. And if we get a scholarship, money well spent. And, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, what are they doing at admission? There's no rules or restrictions. I hear about some of these schools that, if you're not on the spring basketball team, you don't get to play in the fall or the winter. I mean, do they have any rules like that? Or if you're just a good athlete, you can play. They find a spot for you, like Adam was saying.
Yeah, I like to think, they encourage the kids to play more than one sport. But some kids just play football. Some kids just play basketball. Some, that's how it is everywhere.
Yeah. Sure.
Like Mission's a small school, so obviously football, you need 11 guys on both sides of the ball. So, we'll take all the athletes.
Yeah.
Hey, you're listening to Rich Seubert here, retired offensive lineman for the New York Giants, Super Bowl champions in 2008. If you missed any part of the interview, go ahead and check us out on livingtherun.com. Tomorrow podcast will be up there. Rich, we got to ask you, because even in the break, it was still painful for you, and I think people don't really realize who you are and who was the guy involved.
Yeah. San Fran, 2003 playoff game.
Yeah, so and the Niners, they got pain over these last couple days, and so they want to feel good about something. That's an absolutely amazing game, that happens. The comeback happens. They try to throw a ball to you on a missed field goal, right? You get pass interferences all over you. When the guy grabs you and it's an obvious pass interference, are you thinking and you're going, hey, great, we just got a 15-yard penalty. We're moving up closer. We get to do this thing again? Yeah,
we get to kick this again to win. That was my first playoff game ever. That was my second year playing. We're up by, 28, 30, something like that, and we lost. And it comes down to 8 seconds left. The snap was a little low. Holder didn't get it. He rolls out, calls fire. So there's me running down the field, cast on one arm. The ball is sailing up in the air. If he just would have led me to the corner of the end zone, it could have been books and everything. No. But I got tackled before the ball got to me. The refs threw the flags. They got together. I don't know what they said. They ran off the field. The game was over. A couple days, the next day,
but you got to be
NFL
thinking there, wait a minute, there was pass interference.
Yeah, but I was wearing number 69.
Yeah.
So you have to report every play to the ref when you're eligible, which I did, because I'm usually the loud, obnoxious one doing it to the refs. 65 reporting right up in his face. And, on tape, one of our guys was running down the field that wasn't supposed to be. I was legal. The other guy wasn't. It should have been offsetting penalties. We should have had another kick at it. Who knows if we would have made it. I think it was 40-some yarder, in the playoffs. But those chances, those are the games you remember. Yes, I remember the Super Bowl, but that year, who knows what could have happened. If we would have won that game, we would have been going to Tampa. And I believe it was Tampa and Oakland in the Super Bowl that year. So,
yeah, you never know. I mean, I think, like you said, when you're there, you take your opportunities. And I think the same thing goes. We started this show with, a lot of sickness around. And you got to take your opportunities when you're healthy to go out and do things. And, as a pro athlete, you go, gosh, it's tough to get to the playoffs in the NFL. It's tough to win those games. It's probably a tough one to chew on for sure. Hey, when we come back, we'll wrap up the show. Here we got Ryan Joyner. We got tips and takeaways. This last segment brought to you by Jaffa Cafe. Jaffa, our home for our favorite Greek food. You like Greek food, Rich?
I like all kinds of food, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Hey, $20 gift card to you for Jaffa Jaffa nice. Cafe. Thanks for coming in. As always, we'll come back and wrap up the show here on Living the Run in moments.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
My name is Chris Randolph, and as a local track and field Olympic hopeful, I've been seeing Brian Quigley at Slow Wellness Center to help me with injury recovery during my season. Brian has not only helped me with some very extensive injuries, but has also educated me on the specifics of how my body moves when I compete. His knowledge and touch has helped me achieve personal bests in my competition and has also helped me in injury prevention. Becoming a wellness patient of his has helped me stop my injuries before they start, making time spent recovering shorter, leaving more time spent training for my goals. From injury prevention to wellness, Brian understands the patient and holistically helps them achieve their personal health-related goals. So check out Brian Quigley at peakperformanceslo.com and find him on Facebook and comment a response to this ad and get a complimentary 60-minute massage.
You want to get fit? And I mean really fit? Fit for fun? Fit for looking good? Fit for life? It can happen for you at Athlon Fitness and Performance in San Luis Obispo. Athlon has a 4-week fitness fast start designed to get anyone back on track and moving like a champion quickly and effectively. For a limited time, you can start Athlon's 4-week fitness fast start for only $197. That's 4 weeks of personal training, nutritional guidance, movement rehabilitation, motivation, fun, and encouragement, all for just $197. Take your body and your athleticism to a new level. Go to athlonslow.com. That's ATHLONSLO.com to learn more about the 4-week fitness fast start. It'll be the best decision you'll ever make.
We're back with Living the Run.
Hey, welcome back to Living the Run here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. Rich Seubert was just in studio. Good stuff. He's still in the break talking about if he just got led that 10 yards just over the shoulder a little bit. You know, that ball goes in his hands. He gets the touchdown.
I thought they called baseball a game of inches. Wow, that's just that's crazy.
Unbelievable there. I mean, incredible stuff. Rich is a good guy, and you can tell pretty mellow, pretty humble, and a guy that, you know, classic from a lineman. You know, these smart guys that get it done. They're paying attention. They got to be on par with their quarterback. They're in a protection mode of him, and you know, you keep hearing this over and over and over again in that league, that the lines, the O-lines and the D-lines are the ones that are really making and breaking these teams. And it's guys like Rich. I mean, what a great story, and a good living the run story. I mean, here's a guy undrafted, 1 year in the league. The next year, he's already a starter. And, you know, with a couple injuries, you know, he wasn't starting for a couple years there just because he's out on injury, but he works his way back. And I even read a story, and I know Rich wouldn't say it, but I heard the owner of that team, when they won the Super Bowl in 2008, there was an article that was written that said Rich Seubert was the MVP of that team. And very, very interesting, because he had to move, I guess, from offensive guard to center to tight end at different times, different guys getting hurt, and he just moved into new spots and was able to get it done. And pretty good living the run story there. Nice to have him in this community. Huge for Mission Prep, huge for the kids in this area. And, you know, he's coaching my kids' team now, basketball, and super thankful for that, because he just does a great job with those kids.
No, you could tell just his demeanor, and what a treat those guys have at Mission. That's they're lucky.
Yeah, no question about it. Hey, we got Ryan Joyner from Athlon Elite. As always, Ryan's joining us right now. Hey, Ryan, thanks for joining us. I guess you're in Phoenix, huh?
Yeah, out in Phoenix for a conference.
Hey, good stuff. Hey, talk to us a little bit about, I don't know if this is the conference topic or not, but you want to talk a little bit about minimalist shoes. I know that's a huge topic out there right now. It's a topic that's pretty darn misunderstood. Every company is making them these days, and they're making different levels and different variations of them. Tell them what you're seeing at Athlon and the advice you're giving to people.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, probably a little different than the topic you guys have been on for the last hour, but at the same time, I was out buying new shoes the other day, and, you know, obviously the minimalist shoe has really taken off, and that's where you've got a shoe that either is flat, doesn't have an incline. Traditional running shoes have a bit of a heel lift to give you, well, to make up for a whole lot of issues that people tend to have with their feet. And you got a minimalist shoe now that doesn't have the incline. It has a much softer sole, doesn't have a midfoot or a midsole, not a midfoot, but a midsole, and they're cool, and I think they're great. And I could tell you a few reasons why I think that they're great. But the challenge here is most people go out there having worn traditional running shoes, work shoes, very supportive shoes all day long, 14 hours a day, and then strap on a pair of minimalist shoes and go for their normal 3 to 6 mile run. And if they even make it through the first week, usually in the second week they've got, shin splints, potential stretch fractures, foot pain, neuroma, all the above. The fact is, middle-less shoe is a great idea because ultimately the foot was built to move, and it needs to move. If you could imagine putting a neck brace on and wearing that 14 hours a day for 9 years, and then just taking it off all of a sudden, you're not going to have any strength or mobility in your neck, and the foot is exactly the same. If you've been wearing supportive running shoes for so long, you're not going to have any strength or mobility in all the little bitty bones and joints that are in the foot. And so if you strap on a pair of middle-less shoes and just take off and do your normal run, you're in for it. So here's what the listeners that want to move to a middle-less shoe ought to do. And there's one is work on your foot mobility. And there's a number of ways of doing that. Here's a simple thing that you can start. Get barefoot. Get yourself a tennis ball, a lacrosse ball, or a golf ball. Just standing over the ball, put the ball of your foot on the floor, put that golf ball right in front of your heel bone, and just start rubbing back and forth and stretching some of those muscles and just giving a deep tissue massage to the bottom of your foot. Work it all around, work around the ball of the foot. Do that for 30 seconds on each foot, and then go ahead and just stand on your tippy toes for about a minute. Now, it's a real simplistic drill, but it actually works. I've seen it help people a lot. So you mobilize the bottom of the foot with the ball, then you stand on your tippy toes for a minute, maybe 30 seconds, your first try, and work up to a minute, and you're already beginning strengthening the foot. Do that daily, and you'll have much stronger feet and be ready for a minimalist shoe in no time.
Hey, great tip, Brian. Thanks as always. It's a great tip because people don't protect their feet enough. When they don't protect their feet, other things start to break down. No question about it. And so appreciate that very much. Hey, and if you're listening now, check out Ryan and those guys at Athlon Elite. I know there's more advanced things you're doing with people's feet, things with balance and stability and so forth. They need to check you out. But thanks for that initial tip, something people can work on tonight.
Great. Thanks, Rex.
Hey, enjoy the seminar in Phoenix.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you soon.
Hey, he's making some good points there, Adam. The feet are a big deal, and it's been one of the pet peeves of mine, I know, since I got into chiropractic and wellness, was this idea that it seemed for a while everyone was just being passed out orthotics like they were candy. And orthotics are a lot like weight belts, or a neck brace. They're taking the stability of the foot, and they're not really allowing it to move. So in the long run, that foot is going to get weaker. Not to say that there isn't a time and a place, but it's a small time and a place. It seemed like, again, they're being handed out like candy, just like we said. Antibiotics being handed out like candy. Pain medications like candy. Even Dan Patrick talking today a little bit about the Adderall Ritalin thing. I mean, what a joke that was, that we just handed that out so just kind of carelessly and freely to some of these kids. And the same thing with our feet. And gosh darn it, if the feet aren't right, the knees aren't going to be right, the hips aren't going to be right, and all the way up the chain. And some nice advice there from Ryan at Athlon Elite.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, I've got a pair of the New Balance with the Vibram sole, and just walking around in them for a week or so just to get the feel for it. And by no means did I have the notion to get up and go run 2-3 miles. It's just slowly but surely, just simply because I heard about stuff like that. So not that I was smarter than everyone else. I just heard people coming in going, oh, my shins and my back. I'm like, wow, okay, if I ever get a pair of these things, I better really just ease into it. So, and they're awesome now. I guess the premise is, the best way to run, the proper way to run is if you're barefoot, you'll have a proper, because you can't heel strike. You have to kind of be on the forefront of your foot. And so it gets you into a proper stride. So, those are good shoes. And, I know with baseball, we used to have, I can't remember what stadium we were at, but we'd have a guy come in and do all the plaster casts on our feet and whoever raised their hand wanted them, got them.
They just gave them away.
Well, I got them, and I'm like, I put them in my shoes, and a day later I'm going, I can't wear these. These things hurt my feet. So thank goodness I never used them.
Hey, yeah, no question. Hey, tip and takeaway from today's show for me is just simply this: give things a shot, give things a try. Have fun. Rich said it great. You only got one life, right? We only got one life. Get after it, give it a little opportunity, and go for it. Hey, great show tonight. As always, next week maybe the CrossFit Inferno guys. I hope.
We'll try and get them.